Alright you guys, welcome back to my channel. In this one I've got the Eachine DE65 Pro. This is a 2S capable 65mm whoop. It's a great form factor because you can fly this around your house, your backyard. You don't have to go somewhere far away to find a place to fly this guy. In this video, I'm going to give you guys a real close look at this and give you some information so you can decide if you're in the market for a 65mm tiny whoop, is the DE65 Pro or the US65 Pro worth considering? Alright, here's what you get in the box. First of all, you get the standard Eachine case, which is pretty handy. You get a standard parts bag with an extra set of props, a screwdriver, prop removal tool, and it looks like a 3D printed part for attaching two of the 1S batteries. You get four Eachine 250 mAh 1S high voltage batteries with the GNB27 2.0 plugs. And you get a charger for charging up those 1S batteries that's actually pretty decent. I'll tell you a little bit more about this later. You get a 12-volt power supply with a barrel connector. You get a standard manual with some basic setup and binding instructions. You also get a control board that will allow you to change the settings on the FPV camera, which I believe is the Caddx Ant. And of course the DE65 Pro itself with that snazzy paint job. The DE65 Pro weighs 23 grams, 30 grams flying 1S, and 38 grams flying 2S. If you're familiar with Eachine's previous version of the 65mm tiny whoop, don't be thrown off by the fact that these look almost exactly the same and the name is almost exactly the same. They're actually completely different quads. Basically, everything has been upgraded and you're getting a much better package. First of all, you get the power supply and 4 batteries instead of 3 in this Pro version. I believe in the older versions, you actually got a box, so you get the case, power supply, more batteries. Second, the Pro version comes with all flavors of external receivers. Onboard receivers are okay for tiny whoops, but you know it's going to be a limitation, and you know there's going to be times when you outfly your VTX and it's just going to fail safe. And in my Tiny Hawk, which I reviewed on this channel, I got tired of fail-safing on the other side of the park and having to go walk and pick it up, and I actually soldered on an external receiver, and then problem solved. But it's not easy to solder an external receiver onto these tiny whoop boards. If you think you'll ever add an external receiver, it's a huge advantage. The Pro version has also been completely redesigned, and it's basically a new quad. First of all, the frame is a new material. It's soft and flexible. I really like that because it means in the case of a crash, it'll absorb impact without breaking. There's additional struts on the frame here. The original U65 was more brittle and it wasn't so strong, so it would break a lot quicker. The motors are 0802 14,000 kV for running 2S. The original U65 had 0603 19,000 kV for 1S. The motor wires are not soldered on. There's plugs, so if you burn one out, you should be able to replace it pretty easily. The camera is a Caddx Ant, and you do get a board to change the settings. That's a pretty cool feature considering the size and cost of this tiny little FPV camera. The flight controller is the Crazy BX all-in-one board that includes the ESC, VTX, and the receiver built in. The VTX is still 25 milliwatt. It'd be nice to have something with a little bit more power for better range, but hey, this is a tiny all-in-one board, and that also saves us the hassle of having to switch power since it's basically 25 milliwatts is what you get. The battery charger they throw in the box is actually pretty good, especially considering the cheap chargers you usually get with these tiny whoop kits that you'll pretty much just toss out. This one you'll actually use. It's pretty good. It'll take a 2 to 6S LiPo. It'll take a 12-volt barrel connector, and of course you get the power source in the box. It has a USB output for charging up your phone or for using some sort of other USB charger. It has outputs for the old style PH2 connectors as well as the new style GNB27 2.0, I guess they're called. It will do 4.2 or 4.35 volts, so it'll do normal voltage as well as high voltage. It will also charge at 0.2 amps or 0.6 amps. The fact they've included a decent charger really adds value to the kit for me because let's be honest, the fate of a tiny whoop is it's eventually going to end up in a tree or get broken. That's just the nature of the hobby. But knowing that this charger, the power brick, that will survive and I'll use it for future quads, that adds value to the kit for me. All right, now let's talk about the elephant in the room. These new plugs by GNB, the GNB 27 2.0 plugs. Now, on one hand, I'm really happy that they're innovating and they're improving things in our hobby. That's really great. But on the other hand, I already have a pile of 1S batteries with PH 2.0 plugs on them, and I don't want to have to go buy new batteries. And I guess you could solder on new connectors, but those batteries are only worth a couple dollars anyway, so I don't think it's worth the time to solder on new connectors. You could make an adapter, but then you're introducing a new bottleneck. Are they better than the PH2 plugs? Well, yeah, I'm sure, because if you look at them, I don't know if you can how well you can see this on camera, but they have some real pins. They're much bigger than the PH2 pins. They're almost like mini banana plugs or something like that. But it's pretty clear that they're going to establish a better connection. Hopefully, they'll become the new connectors in our hobby. So if you're looking at the DE65 Pro, that's something you need to take into account. Are you interested in adopting the new battery plug, or have you already adopted the new battery plug? I think it's better. The question is it worth the hassle of upgrading? Are you guys going to change battery connectors? Are you going to stick to the PH2 connector? Or did you already adopt the Beta FPV connector, the BT 2.0? Okay, the disadvantages that I can think of this quad is that, first of all, it's going to be a little bit heavier than an ultra lightweight like the Mobula 6, so I would expect it to fly differently indoors. Also, the battery connector. If you are hesitant to adopt and change your batteries over, that could be a disadvantage for you. And finally, I wish they had included an adapter, some sort of pigtail here for flying 1S, because this quad is advertised as being 1S or 2S capable, yet I don't have those connectors to make up that adapter. So I'll be flying it on 2S, but you can't really fly it on 1S out of the box. So is it a 1S quad or isn't it? Now let's get to the advantages, because there's a lot more that I like about this quad than I dislike. First of all, the included accessories make for a great value. The charger and the wall adapter alone really add value to this kit, in my opinion. Second, the external receiver options, that's a huge advantage for me. I really do like to have an external receiver, even on a tiny whoop. Now, I know some people are going to say that's overkill, but I just like knowing that I'm not going to outfly my RX when my VTX will allow me to, like in a park or an open space. With my Tiny Hawk, that's the first thing I did, is I added an external receiver, and that was a pain to solder onto those tiny little pads. So external receiver options are a big advantage for me. And third, price. Banggood has these on flash sales every now and then, and when you consider everything that you get in the box, you can't beat the value. I mean, add up the price of the components, and you're getting a pretty good deal. So that's it for the DE65 Pro. This is going to be a great addition to my fleet. I'm really looking forward to getting out and flying this thing. If you're not already subscribed, make sure to hit that subscribe button, because my next video, which I should have shortly, will be on the setup and flight footage. I didn't have a chance to do that where I'm located right now. I'm not in my normal workshop. You'll notice that the scenery is a little bit different. So that's the reason why I'm not doing the flight footage in this video. So please do subscribe, and I'll have that setup and flight footage for you shortly. All right? See you in the next one.